Welcome in everyone, I'm Limcube and I'm a Breath of the Wild speedrunner, and I'm going to 100% this game, bit by bit every single day until Tears of the Kingdom, the sequel, comes out, which today is in 185 more days. We're slowly but surely getting there. So my original intent for today was to do the Vine Beast Varmedo, but I realized I didn't even have any weapons yet, really. At least less weapons than I want, so I thought I'm gonna quickly slide to Hyrule Castle and get some weapons. And while I do that, I'm gonna talk about there's no way... Okay, I was gonna say, if that bridge stopped me there, that would have been very funny. And while I do that, I wanted to talk about weapons in Tears of the Kingdom. Usually when I record these sessions, I talk about various topics from internet, culture, and video games. Whatever's on my mind. And you can put this on in the background as well, just as some background noise. I would appreciate it if you joined before the session. But weapons in Tears of the Kingdom is something I wanted to talk about specifically. I talked about this a bunch of times on my stream before, and I thought it made sense as we get weapons. Also, this is a really nice shot, actually, of the kingdom, especially with these cinema lines. This looks really epic. But I thought it's a good time to talk about weapons in Tears of the Kingdom, and also a little bit about durability. I think the opinions on durability in this game are a little bit split. People either got used to it, they hate it, or they actually like it and they thought it encouraged them to make more decisions on when to use which weapons. I personally think durability in general is fine, especially when it comes to early game exploration, having your weapons break and being encouraged to try out different weapons. This is obviously a mechanic that Breath of the Wild has, right? Durability, in case you somehow don't know. Weapons, if you use them a lot, they eventually break. And in my opinion, that's both a good and a bad thing. It's good because it encourages you... I might be dead here. Oh, right, I have some random fairies. It encourages you to try out different weapons, which, again, in my opinion, is a good thing. Because you might only use one certain type of weapon, but then suddenly, because of durability, you might be forced into using a different weapon instead and realize that you actually really like it. It also makes it so that when you approach different fights in the game, there's always some planning around durability. You have to figure out what weapon do I want to use at which point, and you always have something to do when your weapons are breaking. I just wished that on top of durability on these weapons, that at least the champion weapons, which we're gonna get later when we do the Vine Beast Varmedo, for example, the Great Eagle Bow, at least those weapons would not have durability. And the reason why I think it would actually be good if they didn't have durability is because they would feel a little bit more like an actual reward. I thought it was really sad, and I know you can repair these weapons, right? But you have to spend like a diamond and also give the person that repairs the weapon a different weapon instead. I really thought the champion weapons should not have had durability. It would have been fine in my opinion if they lasted forever. And even if that means that at one point you're essentially only using the champion weapons, I think that wouldn't have been necessarily a bad thing. In fact, I think it's actually quite cool. It kind of shows how far you progress through the game. You're suddenly using the weapons from the champions, right, to fight your way through the game. So I was really upset that the champion weapons have durability. I think they shouldn't have had durability, and that's also why I want to talk about Tears of the Kingdom in that aspect. So again, I think durability is fine. It's both annoying, it is definitely annoying, but for base weapons I think it's a cool thing. But I think what this game missed and what Tears of the Kingdom really needs is some sort of unbreakable rewards for combat. And I know the Master Sword exists, but even the Master Sword in this game can obviously run out of energy, and in my opinion that's extremely annoying. But it is what it is. I hope that Tears of the Kingdom introduces some sort of unbreakable combat reward. A lot of us are obviously currently thinking that in Tears of the Kingdom there's gonna be dungeons, right? There's gonna be real dungeons again with potential rewards. It might be a weapon, it might be real dungeon items. I'm sure, just like me, a lot of players really hope that we get stuff like the grappling hook back. I think this is like my biggest dream for Tears of the Kingdom, that the speedrun is gonna actually use the grappling hook to fly around Hyrule. I don't know if that's gonna happen. Looking at the footage that we've seen from Tears of the Kingdom so far, I almost feel like that's not gonna happen, because they still go for... They it looks like they're still going for... They're not necessarily completely going back to the roots of like how Zelda used to be, which is not necessarily what I want. But it looks like they're adding new gimmicks, right? Like that little tear container that Link has, that little tear vial that he's carrying around. I think, yeah, which is why I think the grappling hook chances are pretty low. But I wish that we are gonna get some sort of champion weapon again. And the reason I actually feel pretty confident that this might actually happen is because of the flamethrower. So if you've seen the Tears of the Kingdom trailer, there's this flamethrower attachment or whatever that Link has attached to his shield in one of the teasers, and that is exactly what I want. Like, ideally not only gimmicky weapons like that flamethrower. Maybe you beat a dungeon and then eventually, yeah, you get that flamethrower. Also, I'm pretty sure I don't need to kill these guys. I don't know why I would want that. I do want this chest though. So I want more than just a flamethrower. I want real... Can I dodge this guy? Yeah. I want real weapons, right? So think of the champion weapons, but they are actually permanent. You can always use them. And then ideally... Well, okay, it would suck if the strongest weapon in the game was a breakable one. But maybe add some weapons that have a specific niche, like the Royal Guard's sword, right? The Royal Guard's sword and the Royal Guard's claymore are extremely powerful when it comes to damage. Obviously, over time, we found glitches to make them more durable than they actually are. But yeah, give us more weapons that are unbreakable. Give us... Maybe you can leave really powerful weapons like the Royal Guard's greatsword in the game that actually do break to make them feel special. But at the same time... Maybe even another interesting approach that I thought about in the past is once you've actually found a weapon once and you've broken it, and I know, so usually I'm not a big fan of crafting. I know I'm a little bit over the place right now, all over the place right now. Usually I'm not a big fan of crafting, but it would be pretty cool if in Tears of the Kingdom, once you have found a weapon, you can like somewhat analyze it, right? Let's say we can analyze it, learn the recipe for the weapon, and then craft it using more basic materials, something like ores, right? Let's say rare ore, we have these ores in Breath of the Wild that drop gemstones. Let's say they could also drop, let's say, iron, and with certain ingredients, we would be able to craft these weapons again once we found them once. That could make durability more interesting. It still makes it so that you have to think when you want to use your weapon so it doesn't break in the wrong timing, but it doesn't make the player feel like it doesn't like discourage you from using a weapon that you like. I think that is actually the main issue with durability. Sometimes you don't want to use your favorite weapon. It's very fun for you to use it, but you still don't want to use it because you don't want it to break. You enjoy having the weapon with you. And then again, I think a mix is really where the sweet spot is between having durability and some weapons break on you, but also giving you that permanent reward. I think my main issue is that, let me know as well if you have any thoughts on this, if you agree with me, but I think especially the champion weapons would have been the perfect opportunity in this game to give the players an unbreakable weapon. Once again, I can only imagine maybe that their decision making was, oh, but we don't want players to be... We don't want players to do one Divine Beast and then be overpowered for the rest of their playthrough. But I don't think that's necessarily bad. Just because you're supposed to have some sort of progression, right? What I really disliked in Breath of the Wild is that you could be really fine to the game, but if all your weapons broke, you're still not very powerful. Yes, there's the champion abilities. That's the only thing they really gave you, right? That's like permanence and stuff like Spirit Orbs. But I do really think weapons, even if it's just one, would have made the experience a little bit better. Also, this lake is like glowing. Holy. Very nice. We're getting some very nice shots in today's episode. But yeah, those are pretty much my thoughts summarized. Again, usually, and I kind of just thought of this on the fly, usually I'm not a big fan of a crafting system. In other games like Elden Ring, they added a crafting system and I don't think I've ever used it. Maybe I've used it like once. I think that's the problem with crafting systems sometimes. Some games just add it to be like, oh, and we have crafting. But I don't really care. However, I think that weapon in the context of making weapons that you've previously found in Tears of the Kingdom, that's the one application of a crafting system that I think I would actually enjoy. So that would be one option, or again, make all of the weapons breakable, other than some few exceptions that are hard to get, only obtainable after some hard challenges. At the end of the day, Breath of the Wild, I guess, had that a little bit with the Trial of the Sword. Oh yeah, the Trial of the Sword. Where you can upgrade your Master Sword to 60 damage, and it rarely ever breaks from that point. But then again, and that's exactly, I feel like, with that, they did exactly what they wanted to avoid, because everyone in the late game is basically running around with their 60 damage Master Sword, and the variety of weapons dies. Why not give us multiple weapons that don't break, so players can still choose between boomerangs, spears, great swords, normal swords, whatever they like, and they can use them freely without being afraid that their favorite weapon is gonna break. Those are basically my thoughts on the weapon system in Tears of the Kingdom. I hope I wasn't too much all over the place, and I'm literally gonna end this episode where I started it, but with the difference that we are now completely stacked up. And even though durability exists in this game, it should be pretty easy now to take down whatchamacallit. It should be pretty easy to take down Thunderblight Ganon. That being said, there's actually one thing, because I do really want to start tomorrow's episode with the Divine Beast itself. So I'm actually gonna not end this recording right now and go over to... Actually, I have one other idea I can talk about anyway in this context when we do this. I want to head over to this Stone Talus. In my opinion, one thing that I would personally want from Tears of the Kingdom that I don't think they are gonna do is a little bit more depth in the combat system. So let's say, and this is a good example, this is actually in the game when it comes to, for example, the Stone Talus. The Stone Talus has a weakness, and I think they are the only enemy that have this sort of weakness. Okay, I mean, other than like elemental weaknesses, right? For example, if you shoot a flaming Wizrobe with an ice arrow, they instantly vaporize. And there's some elemental weaknesses like this. I think these guys don't have an elemental weakness. Do I actually not know this game? I mean, they would definitely die to an ancient arrow, right? But do the shock Wizrobes have that elemental weakness? I don't think they do. Anyway, definitely very knowledgeable about the game after like 5,000 hours. If you know, let me know, but I think they don't have an elemental weakness. And the Stone Taluses do have an elemental weakness, being when you hit them with a blunt weapon, aka an iron sledgehammer, or the boulder breakers, they take more damage. So I think Tears of the Kingdom could actually benefit, at least when it comes to longevity, of some sort of like typing or weakness effects, right? Like in Pokemon, we have the types. In this game, there's, I guess, some hidden types when it comes to fire and ice enemies and the Stone Taluses. But expanding on that a little bit more and giving weapons different types, like, yeah, blunt weapon, heavy weapon, fire weapon, and giving them different strengths and weaknesses depending on what enemies you're fighting, in my opinion, could be pretty interesting. I did forget where the Stone Talus is. I think it's over here. And I will still be better off using the Knight's Claymore here, which is just a whatever weapon then. Actually, I won't. This is interesting, right? The Knight's Claymore here does 38 damage to this. The Iron Sledgehammer is supposed to do 12, but because the Iron Sledgehammer has this buff and is actually a 4 times effectiveness buff, my damage with it is gonna be higher than using the seemingly much better weapon. And maybe expanding on that system, adding it to more enemies could be interesting. The main reason, again, I came here is because I want to buy that cold resistance outfit before I do Var Medo. I don't know where I'm going. But I hope that Tears of the Kingdom expands on it a little bit. I've been playing a lot of Hollow Knight recently, which you may or may not know if you've watched these videos recently. And that's another game where I realize how much I like min-maxing combat. This is also the reason I play Genshin Impact. So making, using different weapons in different scenarios because they are especially effective against a certain enemy sounds really cool to me. I did actually get really lucky there by dropping a diamond. I have 2 sapphires right now, 2 rubies, and a diamond, which is definitely going to be enough to get that level 2 cold resist. Now I'm going to make my way back to Rito Village. I do also have like no food, which is something that's a little concerning. But I'm gonna take care of that after Varmedo. Maybe we'll farm some food. I don't think I'm gonna use the IST fairy glitch here. Well, actually, maybe I will. I talked about this before. But yeah. Those were pretty much my thoughts on weapons in Tears of the Kingdom. How I think they can improve on them compared to this game. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you disagree. I'm back at Rito Village now. Tomorrow, I'm gonna start my approach to the Vine Beast Varmedo. From this point, very nice. Thank you so much for watching. Tomorrow, 148 days into Tears of the Kingdom. I'll see you there. Peace.